Hey everybody, this is the Longhorn Confidential for October 22nd, 2024. I'm Danny Davis with the Austin American-Statesman, joined today by Thomas Jones, looking lovely in blue, Cedric Golden, also sporting that blue today. We're going to talk about the burnt orange today. Specifically, we're coming to y'all from 3 days after Texas lost its first game of the football season, a 30 to 15 loss to Georgia, in front of a school record crowd over there at Royal Memorial Stadium. It was a pretty crazy environment. One of those things we don't see very often. Also, don't see fans throwing trash all over the place after a disputed call, but that's another story for a different day. But Thomas, we'll start with you. No, keep that water ball. There's no bad calls here. I don't have a flag over here. Um, but speaking of, things to be concerned about, maybe not the penalties, although that may be your answer. But what was one thing that you saw in that game on Saturday that's kind of a cause for concern with this Texas team as they try to recover from that first loss?
To me, I mean, on offense, there were several concerns, and I'm sure you guys will talk about them. But to me, it kind of starts with Quinn Ewers. Yeah, you weren't getting protected very well, but you're a 3-year starter. You have to make your guys better around you. You have to step up. You're in a tough position, especially against that Georgia defense that smelled blood, man. They were one to eat, like Kirby likes to say. But in games like that, you're the most veteran guy in the country at quarterback almost. You have to step up. You have to look like a Heisman Trophy candidate. You have to make your teammates better around you. Not sure that happened on Saturday.
Said.
I could easily say something else just to be a variety guy, but no, that's Quinn Ewers. It's Quinn Ewers. It's the most important job in all of sports is quarterback. That's the head of a snake. You're not going to see too many teams win national championships if the quarterback's not one of the two or three best players on the team. And he was not one of the two or three best players on the team on Saturday, just for the second week in a row. He was jittery in that pocket. He didn't look comfortable in that pocket. He missed routine throws in that pocket. And I like that Steve Sarkisian tried to, hey, there's 11 guys. Maybe somebody missed a block, maybe this, maybe that. A college quarterback is supposed to be a difference maker. And that means, there are many times where Vince Young's guys missed blocks, but then Vince Young made some Vince Young stuff happen. Same with Colt McCoy. So I think that Quinn, um, whether he says it or not, is not the same Quinn we saw before the oblique. And maybe it's because the competition is ramped up a little bit. That could be it. But he's got a perception problem right now. And the perception is that he's not the same guy that we saw at the beginning of the season. And the only way to change that perception is to string together some good performances, not just one against Vanderbilt, but two or three to let people know, oh, yeah, this is the Quinn that was getting all the Heisman Trophy hype at the beginning of the season.
I think the problem is more than Quinn, if I'm going to be honest. Quinn obviously did
Of
not
course,
play,
but he's
but
a
this is
big
my
part.
point.
Yeah.
Quinn did not play well against Georgia pretty much the entire game. Did not play well for much of the Oklahoma game. But you look at their three SEC games, they have had poor starts in all three games. And Quinn did not start one of those games. And probably Quinn did not start the game against the worst team in that bunch. You take the first 5 drives of Mississippi State, first 5 drives of Oklahoma, first 5 drives of Georgia. 8 punts, 4 turnovers, 3 touchdowns. That is an offensive problem. That is a script problem, which goes to the guy up top. That is a quarterback problem, which includes Arch, who had I think 2 interceptions in that Mississippi State game. That is an offensive line problem, as we saw in the Georgia game. That is a receivers problem. I mean, Quintrevion Wisner dropped what may have been a touchdown, a wide open touchdown up the middle in that Georgia game. So that is an entire offense problem. And their slow starts have been an issue. They were able to recover against Oklahoma thanks to an insane Silas Bolden hustle play. They were able to recover against Mississippi State thanks to maybe one of the best touchdown grabs we're going to see this year when DeAndre Moore caught that, prayer from Arch Manning, who anticipated the pass rush really well. But overall, this offense has not looked good in the first half, and that is an entire problem. Quinn needs to play better, but the entire offense does need to play better because Quinn could have been playing like a Heisman Trophy contender, and with the way the rest of that team was playing and the way that that script was being read over those first 5 drives, it wouldn't have mattered. So this is an entire offense problem. Number three, obviously, he's the Head of the Snake. He's the guy in the Dr. Pepper commercials. He's the star of this show, so he needs to play better. But I've been concerned with just the way the entire offense has looked, not just the quarterback. But
It's a great reminder about the Mississippi State start. I think a lot of people kind of forget about that.
obviously, Texas has a chance to rebound really quickly. We're going to flip the script as Steve and the players were saying. All on Monday, we're going to start talking about Vanderbilt, and I'm going to try to get through this whole entire thing without saying Vandergrift. I've been mixing that up all week, trying to give some love to
Say
the Buffaloes.
Vandy.
But
Just say Vandy. They know who we're talking about.
Texas heads up to Nashville this weekend, 3:15 on Saturday, SEC Network. If you are watching at home, this Vanderbilt team, not the Vanderbilt team we expected going into the season. I think during the summer when they got 2 first-place votes in the SEC preseason poll, a lot of people rolled their eyes and were wondering what those two jokers were on at SEC Media Days. But they've been playing pretty well. 5-2 overall record. Obviously beat Alabama, that huge upset a few weeks ago. Beat Kentucky. Went to double overtime against Missouri. So this is a Vanderbilt team to reckon with. Said, we'll start with you. In this game this weekend, who is one Longhorn who needs to step up if Texas is going to get back on the winning track?
I know he's hungry. I know he feels like he was underutilized. I think Jaydon Blue is ready to cut loose. And Quintrevion has been getting the run here lately. And for good reason. Quintrevion has played great. He's played great. But Jaydon Blue still has good ability. He's a game-changing type. He's a nice fit. He can make that first guy miss. And in a game like this, with his speed, if that first guy misses, it could be a difference maker. And so I really think Sarkisian felt kind of bad that he didn't get a carry in the Georgia game. And I think they're going to get him some more run. And he's going to have an opportunity to run behind an offensive line that should be very angry after running for 29 yards on 27 carries against Georgia and giving up 7 sacks. So it's going to be interesting to see. There's a lot of guys that are going to have to step up, but I think these two running backs are going to be able to set the table, and it's going to make things a lot easier for number 3.
I think we should probably shine a little bit of light on the defense. I don't know if that's where Thomas is going to go, but I'm going to say Michael Taaffe. This is obviously a banged up safety room with Andrew Mukuba. He's questionable, but that didn't look like a questionable injury on Saturday, so I wouldn't expect to see him this weekend. And Derek Williams out for the season. So Michael Taaffe is the veteran presence back there. We all know his story. We all know what he's contributed over the last 4 years on campus, and he's going to need to step up his game because we know he's going to be out there, and he's probably going to be out there a lot. I don't love the idea of Jahdae Barron shifting to safety because I think he's played so well
Great.
at cornerback.
He's playing great at corner. Leave him.
You keep him out there and you figure something else out. I think Jalen Gilbo should stay at that nickel because he's been playing really well there. So Michael Taaffe, this is your room. Lead it. He's been doing a great job this season. Defense is playing really well, but obviously injuries happen, and someone else aside from Michael is going to need to step up in that safety room, but he's going to need to lead the way. TJ, who's your pick?
I like what you're talking. I think Jelani McDonald's going to need a big game alongside Taft too. But I'm going to stick with the offense, and similar to what Ced talked about with the running game, I want to see DJ Campbell. He's one of them foul-tempered right guards. I think he's probably the most aggressive run blocker that Texas has. I want to see DJ Campbell just bully some people in the trenches. And I could apply this to Hayden Connor, the left guard, Jake Majors, the center. But I want to see Campbell specifically and those guys in the middle, man, bully the Commodores, man. Bully Vanderbilt, Vandergrift, whoever you got. Get the running game going. Push some guys around. Be a little nasty. Don't lean on Quinn. Run the ball 40 times. So I think DJ Campbell, I think he's going to have a big game, and I want to see it from inside.
If we're being honest, I don't think this is a game that a lot of Texas fans had circled on their calendar as far of a game of interest. Maybe the funnest road trip because it's Nashville and there's stuff to do this weekend. So we're going to do a quick little scouting report. If we're talking about the Commodores, we don't want to make it easy like Sunday morning. So you can't pick Lionel Richie. You can't pick Cedric Alexander, the fine local product from LBJ High School, who's their starting running back. But who is one Commodore that you were looking out for? TJ?
I'm going to leave that quarterback to y'all because he's awesome. Y'all can talk about him. Look, Vanderbilt's got this safety named DeRicky Wright. I think he's a fifth-year senior now, 6'4", 220. He's an Alabama native. He looks like an Alabama type of player. DeRicky Wright is very good in the run. He's very versatile. He's one of the more underrated defensive backs in this conference. And Vanderbilt plays pretty good defense anyway. That guy's at the center of it. Quinn's got to watch out for him when he goes back in coverage, and they got to worry about him getting up in the box and affecting the run game too.
Said.
I was going to pick Walter Orange. He was Lionel Richie's right-hand man. He wrote Night Shift after Lionel left, and that was a massive hit. And Danny, you hit that note. I mean, I know it sounds funny, but that's a good song. I love that song. I'm going to go with a linebacker, Nick Rinaldi, who's 6'2", 240. He's the guy that ran down Jalen Milroe in the second half of that Alabama game. He's had a sack 2 weeks in a row. He's led him with 7 tackles in this last win over Ball State. He's hungry. He's aggressive. And he's a guy that can be a disruptor in that run game. They like to blitz him. He's an active body. I'm really interested to see what the Texas offensive line is going to do to deal with him because they move him around a lot.
I was reading a story about him, and he seems like the typical what you'd expect out of a Vanderbilt football player. He didn't actually play football until his senior year of high school. He was a basketball player.
Yeah.
And it was a COVID season, so I think his high school played in the spring, and he didn't have anything to do during the spring, so he was like, "All right, let's try this out." So his first, that's how he kind of fell in love with the sport, found out he could do it on a higher level, and that's kind of how he got started, which I guess is probably the story with a lot of those guys, since there's probably a lot of 2- and 3-star recruits on that roster. But
and he's probably like a chemical engineering major too.
Mm-hmm.
Smart.
Since we left him, I'll talk about someone that's a similar story. Diego Pavia, the quarterback.
Love him.
Who I think was a walk-on originally at like New Mexico Institute or something like that, and then transferred to New Mexico State, came over here this offseason when Tim Beck, not that Tim Beck, Texas fans, a different Tim Beck, became as a coordinator for the Commodores, and he has been incredible. I mean, he's went viral a couple weeks ago for swearing a little bit on a post-game interview on the after the Alabama game, but
couldn't help it. He was jacked up, man. He was fired up. The emotions were flowing. I was watching. I was like, yeah, who cares about those sensors? Let it fly.
1,400 passing yards, 11 touchdowns. He's their leading rusher. Most importantly, 1 interception. I mean, he is taking care of the ball. This Vanderbilt team does not turn the ball over. I think Steve mentioned 2 turnovers this entire season so far. They like to control the clock. They're going to bleed you to death. Michael Taaffe was talking about they just love going 4 yards, 4 yards, 4 yards, because 4 times 3 equals 12 on a first down. So he is leading this team. He's ahead of the snake, and he's having a season that no one outside of Nashville expected. So Texas, obviously, they are well aware of him. They were very complimentary of him during media sessions yesterday, and they know now what a lot of people in Nashville had figured out over the last couple of months. So definitely keep an eye on Diego.
And he's an Albuquerque kid. You've all seen Breaking Bad. Those ABQ kids don't play around.
Yeah. So Diego Pavia, number 2 for
nice meth blast. Way to go, Thomas.
Thanks. I think on that note, we're just going to bounce. I don't really have anything to respond to that, but throughout the week as we get ready for this trip to Nashville, we'll have plenty of stuff on statesman.com. On Second Thought, podcast drops on Thursday morning. Said he had a heavy hitter last week. Who's jumping on the pod this week?
Man, I've got like three lures on the water. I got a little chum. What's a chum? I got a little chum out there, and I'm waiting on someone to bite. So no one right now, but they always say, yeah, I'll get a heavy hitter. It's probably going to be a Longhorn legend. So
sounds good. So Thursday morning, check that out on statesman.com, as well as our content throughout the week on game day. And if you need something on Sunday to recover from your night out in Nashville, check us out on statesman.com too. But thank you for watching us on YouTube and on statesman.com. Thanks for listening to us wherever you get your podcast. We'll see y'all down the road. Deuces.